everybody, it is Romania Black, and remember last week? Oh my god! Season 4 of Natsume has gotten off to a really, really good start, and I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to not only dive into volume 8 because I had so many questions for the manga, but also to get into this season because season 4 has like started out so crazy and really good, and I'm super hyped about it. So yeah. So I wanted to dive immediately into volume 8, talk about it. I only have one comment to share, but I'm sure I'll have more comments in episodes to come. But we just need to dive into this episode. I also nearly strained my vocal cords talking for like 2 hours about Natsume last week. I told the moderators, I'm like, usually I do a little bit more reactions during the week than I did last week, but I was trying to like save my vocal cords because I was starting to strain them. I was like, last week on the channel, my reactions were really long and I had a lot to say about a lot of different shows. And I'm like, I need to like calm down. But let's talk about the comment that I have, and then we'll dive into volume 8 because there are things to talk about with that volume. The only comment I have is from CUE Mog 3088 that says that Yasui-san, the Potter guy in episode 8 of season 3, his voice actor is Kosuke Atari, who is actually the singer and sings the ending songs for seasons 1 and seasons 3. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I know that series like Free Iwatobi Swim Club, which I love, those series have voice actors that do the OPs and EDs. I know that Miyano Mamoru has done the OP and EDs for series such as Millionaire Detective. I know that there are a lot of voice actors that contribute to the OP and ED credits with those songs, but it's nice to see like a side character get incorporated into the show after doing the ED, which I love season 1 and season 3 EDs. Nothing against season 2. Season 2 is good, but his voice is so good, especially season 3 ED. Season 3 ED may be my favorite ED so far, but we've barely gotten into season 4, so that may change as we go. But I thought that was really interesting, so cool. Also, let's just say that after looking at Manga Volumes 8, I have questions. So I want to go ahead and say, before we dive into the contents of Volume 8, Volume 8 covers episodes 9 through 12 of Season 3. And I was like, okay, because it felt like I was like, okay, this is a big chunk. It feels very natural. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, so Volume 7 covered episodes 6 and 7, and then the season finale of Season 3. So, okay. So that leaves episode 8, which is the Fox Spirit episode. If that's an anime-only episode, I could totally see that, because it definitely reads like it could be anime-only, as much as I will consider it canon, because it's Shigure and Natsume hanging out. But then there's, like, episodes 1 through 3 of Season 3, and episode 5 with the storeroom. I was like, is that all anime-only? What? Because that's the episode with the kid from Natsume's like grade school that comes back to visit him. The first 2 episodes with Ukihara Village, I'm like, okay, that could be anime only, but the storeroom episode and him. So the only thing I could think of is either it's all anime only, which kudos to the animation team for making, if that anime only quality is there, awesome. Or those episodes content takes place in perhaps volumes 9 and volumes 10, but it's also mixed with the contents of season 4. So the moderators are not letting me look at it yet. That's the only thing I can think of. So I rarely say this, and I'm going to say this with a lot of trepidation, but in the comments, if episodes 1 through 3, episodes 5, or episode 8 of season 3 are anime only, you can let me know. But if they are going to be incorporated in the manga later, I don't want to know. So I will assume silence is that I will encounter them later, and it'll be a fun surprise, and we'll see how that all breaks down. But if it ends up that they were just anime only episodes, kudos to the animation team for making them fit really well into the Natsume canon. So I'll just let the comments and the moderator kind of filter those comments out when they look at them. But I was genuinely curious. I was like, okay. So we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see with season 3 if those remaining episodes that the manga does not talk about are discussed as we go. But I want to go over the manga because I have a couple of screenshots and things to show you all. I love the cover of volume 8. 8's my lucky number, and so it only seems fitting that Tanama and Natsume are featured on the cover. Natsume's hair looks darker there than usual, which is interesting. It's still like that silver color, but I love Tanama holding Madara. It's super cute. And I love that their arms are going different directions. Like, we can't have them hold hands because heaven forbid we ship in this series. But we got to keep all the shipping open-minded, right? But I do like that their hands are going opposite directions. I like the green. I like the leaves. And then I've noticed every cover page, starting a volume, features Reiko. In this, it's Reiko holding a letter. So, of course, my curiosity is piqued. Like, who's it a letter from? Is a letter going to someone? She's always featured near a window with the wind blowing through her hair. So, so much mystery around Reiko, and I cannot wait in this series to find out more about her as we go. I'm so excited about that. But I like chapter 27's cover too, featuring Natsume with his friends. The anime does a really good job of adapting them and making them look like they do in the manga. Sometimes Natsume looks a little bit different in the anime, but that's not a complaint. That's totally fine. But I do like that the friends are very distinct. You can tell with their haircuts, their eyes. I feel like the mangaka, we slowly see them develop as they go through, which is fun. Also, Madara in the window, like peeking out, watching Natsume to make sure he's okay, is super, super adorable. So the very first chapter, it would be chapter 27, discusses the episode where we start out pretty much beat for beat with the anime, with Natsume having the conversation with the yokai on the bridge, and the two friends from school see him interacting with it and aren't exactly sure what's going on. One thing that I think is really super cute is that we do get a little bit extra in this part where Natsume is saying that the yokai wasn't being malicious. It was just like trolling him, being like, come play with me. And Natsume's like, stop. Like, that, it's fun to get that perspective and know that it wasn't a big deal as it was. Like, I was thinking it might have been something malicious in the anime, but no, it was just a yokai trolling. We also get confirmation. Again, Sasada is nowhere to be seen. She doesn't exist anymore in the anime, which makes it doesn't exist anymore in the manga, which makes the anime including her hilarious to me. But we do get confirmation in the manga that this volume 8 is the first time that Taki and Tanama meet one another, which I was like, oh, that's cool that we get confirmation of that. Also, as far as shipping goes, you have to multi-ship in Natsume because it's so vague where the ships are. You just have to multi-ship and just go with the flow with this series. But I definitely got the impression that when Tanama and Taki met, they're like really kind of awkward around each other, and they're kind of like blushing, being like, why is this so awkward? And you could assume that it's because the series is like maybe showing that Tanama's kind of blushy around Taki, like, oh, I kind of like don't know what to do with you. It feels to me like it's not a friend zone situation. The series could be shipping Taki and Tanama. I'm fine with that. I like the idea. There's a part, I'm kind of in two camps. I'm in the camp of, okay, we could ship Taki and Tanama as the friend couple to Natsume, and Natsume gets shipped with somebody else, whether it's Notori once he's an adult or a character we haven't met yet. I'm not shipping Natsume with Matoba. I just can't. But I could see if you wanted to do that, sure. But I could see if you wanted to be in the camp of Taki and Tanama being a ship. Super adorable, super cute. They're the friends that help Natsume along his way. Top notch. But you could also have it to be where they like are getting to know each other, and then later on Taki realizes that Tanama and Natsume are meant to be together. And if you want to be in that camp, you can be in that camp too. And so I feel like we get the best of both worlds, right? But it's super adorable. What is not super adorable is how the mangaka draws blood in this manga, because since it's black and white, you have to make the blood kind of stand out. And oh, the mangaka does. The scene with the classroom where Natsume sees the blood on the ground, it looks horrifying. It's this big ink blot. I love the fact the mangaka uses ink and the black ink to be the blood, and just, it's such a stark contrast with the white space. It's very effective, and it jumped out immediately, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, it was crazy. I loved it. So we've got 4 different author's notes here. They seem a little bit shorter than usual, but I haven't read them. I wanted to read them with you all for the reaction. It says, hello, I'm Midori Kawa. This is my 16th total graphic novel and the 8th for Natsume. It was my fervent wish for it to somehow be longer than 3 volumes. I'm so happy that I've been able to go on for so long. I'd like to thank all my readers and everyone in the editorial department. I'll continue to craft each one episode with care. Nice. And so we go along the episode kind of like it does with the anime. I really love this sequence of pages, though, and I wanted to point them out. One is where the one friend, who I like that their eyes are so dark in comparison to Natsume's that are so light, them saying like, hey, if you don't want to do the culture festival, just tell us you don't want to. We want you to have a good time. We'll trade jobs with you. It's okay. And someone in the comments had noted this. They were like talking about the translation of that episode, and they were saying something along the lines of, in the actual Japanese translation, they're not just asking Natsume to be honest with them, but they're asking Natsume to be more blunt and be more frank and saying, hey, if you don't like something, you don't have to go along with the group just to make yourself fit in. You can tell us. And that's such a powerful moment in the manga and in the anime, because for the first time, because Natsume has been trying to fit in and be normal and be accepted by his peers. And for the first time, his friends are like, we accept you. Be yourself. And if you don't like something, be genuine about it. You're not going to hurt our feelings. And I had this experience recently where my best friend and I have been best friends for like 18 years. But even there was a time where I was trying to tell her something and I didn't want to offend her, but it was something that was bothering me. And so I was trying to skirt around, and I was holding off for so long on it because I was afraid, like, oh, if I say this, she's going to be mad and I don't want her to be mad at me. And finally it got to the point where I just had to tell her, and I was really dreading her response. And she was like, oh, why didn't you say that sooner? It's fine. And so a moment like this hits me so hard because it's one of those things where we often fear our friends' response, and we fear rejection from our friends, or that they'll be mad at us because we've cultivated these relationships. And the reality is we get in our own head and we think it's going to be a lot worse than it is. And then we go out and say what we need to say, and the friend is like, yeah, that's fine. like they're not bothered by it at all. And we kind of just psych ourselves out about it. And that's exactly how I felt like Natsume in this moment. And then Natsume being like, no, I'm really looking forward to it. And this whole scene where Natsume is sobbing out of happiness, and there's like the little shooting star above his roof, and Madara's like listening to him. One thing I love is that Madara listens to him sob. He doesn't go over and ask how he is, because Madara can kind of sense that it's not a sad sob. He's sobbing out of happiness. And I feel like that's such a moment of impact for Madara. I love it. And Natsume saying, I'm so happy, I don't know what to do about it. It's just so, the series just getting to me. And then, of course, when after everything is said and done in that episode, the friends come up to him and they're like, hey, why do you put yourself in danger? You do it all the time. What were you thinking? Is there something you can't tell us? And it's just going to show that Natsume has these friends that he wants to keep safe. So then we have the episode with the mirror. The mirror episode is the next set of chapters. I love this little moment here where Tanema's like, well, I don't want anything to happen to you either. And they're like, yeah. And then they're like, for both of us, this is the first time we have a friend without secrets. Sometimes it's hard to open up so much. And they're like, this is kind of embarrassing. And it's so interesting because the series talks about how it can be hard to open up once you care about someone, which you would think would be the opposite of the case. Also, I had wondered if the scene where Tanema keeps like avoiding him was anime only. No, it happens in the manga. It's exactly how it is in the anime. The manga has him avoid him because he doesn't want to get involved with the yokai. And I was like, oh, cool. So that wasn't anime only. It was totally, absolutely like it is in the manga too. Nice. So, author note number 2, the Neon Book. Last time I wrote about how they published a fan book to commemorate the anime release. This time they made something called a Neon Book. I got a call asking, may we have permission to make a neon book for Nyanko-sensei? It sounded so lovely that I approved on the spot. I got a little anxious, wondering if that ugly calico cat could really carry an entire book by himself. But they came up with many cute and fun articles. It looks like Nyanko-sensei is going on a journey. It's a perfect book for anyone who loves kitty cats, even creepy looking ones. Please check it out. That also helps a lot too, because I always wonder with the extra fan materials and the extra materials that series make that don't involve the mangaka. Like, how involved is the mangaka? Because I'm not gonna lie, I finished Berserk a little while ago, and there's a guidebook for Berserk, and there's some really questionable and inappropriate things in it, and I'm like, And so I had a conversation with the commenters on the channel being like, do you think that Miura approved this or knew anything about it? And they were like, you know, sometimes this happens without approval of the mangaka or basic approval, and the mangaka doesn't really know what's involved in it. So it sounds here like the mangaka gave approval for the Nyanko book, and then after the fact was like, oh, this is cute. Okay. So wild. But then of course it's like, I'm always interested in the process behind how do these things get off the ground? What is the mangaka input? What do they just give approval and then they have no say in it? Like, there's so many factors to it that are fascinating to me, and I would love to know more about it and may have to research that in the future. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so basically we have the mirror chapters and the mirror anime episode and Tanema getting possessed. I like in this panel, we can kind of see where Tanema was digging in the ground, and as he walks away, the manga does a really cool thing where they show like half of Tanema's face is possessed and the other half is not, showing that transition of Tanema realizing where he's at and what's going on. I thought that was a really cool thing the mangaka did to kind of showcase to us, the readers, what's going on and give us little clues. Like, that part was really, really cool. And then what a symbolic panel for all BL readers. These two guys walking side by side, just trying to live their lives, and something's coming along to wreck their relationship. Why can't we have nice things? I do really love this little end of the chapter panel with Natsume with the Oni mask, and then you have Madara perched on top of Tanema's head, and Taki with the cool, I love the sleeve with the roses. I would have that jacket in a heartbeat. But I do love the fashion in Natsume. It's so subtle and understated, but it's very classy. And I've noticed a lot of merch, like I talked last season, a lot of merchandise is clothing based for Natsume, which is so fun. Love it. But I like our trio together. Whether you view them as platonic or romantic, I love it. So yeah, then we have the next chapter kind of extends the mirror episode. We have Tanema and Natsume in the shrine and the scene. One thing I really love is how blunt Madara is here. Like, Tanema asks, he's like, you know, does these things happen often to Natsume? And Madara's like, it happens all the time. Like, and I like Tanema kind of just looking over, and then we see Natsume has seen Tanema react to what Madara said, which is a nice touch because they're in the dark. So, you know, I love it. It's such a good moment in the manga. It gives a nice little layer there. But yeah, then we have Tanema's beam, his begone beam from the yokai, at which point, knowing that yokai can possess people and cause them to fire lasers out of their mouths, a bit concerning, as Natsume points out. He's like, no, this is going too far. We're affecting Tanema's body. That's not good. Let's not do that. I just thought the angle of it was really interesting. So then we have the Culture Festival, the third author's note, saying, I haven't done any stories yet about participation in a school event, so I picked the Culture Festival. In the anime, I suggested that Kitamoto be in the same class as Natsume for more of a close-knit feeling. But in the manga, the class assignments are the same as the first episode, and Kitamoto is in the next class over. Oh! So, okay. It says Class 1, Kitamoto and Tanema. Class 2, Nishimura, Natsume, Tsuji, and Class 5, Taki. With the school as the stage, I could finally have Tanema and Taki meet face to face. They would have preferred a more casual introduction, but Natsume doesn't have much experience in this kind of thing, so he made it sound like an introduction in an arranged marriage. Okay, I'm sure those two were squirming and wanting to be anywhere but there. I needed to let Natsume have these embarrassing experiences from time to time as he grows up. Oh, okay. So that explains why Tanema and Taki were like so awkward around each other. Like, this feels like Natsume is introducing us like we're going to get married, and we don't want that. So you make that what you will as far as shipping goes. You make that what you will. But I think that's really interesting, the idea that Kitamoto in the manga is in a different class than Nishimura and Natsume. But in the anime, the mangaka's like, no, just run with it. Have them in the same class. to me, that gives me a little more faith that the mangaka was like, yeah, just keep Sasada in there. I don't have a problem with it. She's not going to affect the plot too much. That's so fascinating to me. And it makes me feel like, one, good that the anime and the mangaka are so closely tied together that they're approving that sort of thing, and it's fine. And two, that you can have retcon moments like that and it's fine. Because I know with series like Yona of the Dawn, one thing people have talked about is that there are things that happen in the manga later on that kind of retcon season 1 of Yona a little bit. Not like drastically, but like a tiny bit. And so people are like, well, maybe that's not why they're doing the anime, because they don't want to retcon or they'll be afraid the audiences will be mad about it. I'm like, look, if Natsume Book of Friends can do it, Yona of the Dawn can do it. So get on that second season. Let's go. I want to see some of those moments animated, damn it. So, you know how you do. But yeah, so I like the idea that we get the little scene from the pool of them splashing around looking for the mirror pieces. And I do like the moments where Tanema kind of goes up to Natsume and's like, man, you have this experience all the time. And that's when we talked about in the anime, Natsume's like, yeah, I never really feel like I can talk about it. Fear and anxiety and all that kind of stuff. And then he says it's hard to talk about. The more you care about someone, the harder it is to share the pain. And Tanema's like, no. And well, that's when Madara says, tell me about it. I find that so interesting because usually we want to think the opposite, that the closer you get with someone, the more you should be able to share with them because you understand each other on a deeper bond. But I kind of do get that in a sense, because the more you forge these relationships with people, the more you kind of are thinking that you don't want to lose that relationship and you don't want to burden that person or drive them away. So sometimes it is harder to talk about that with people you care about because you're afraid of being a burden to them. I do cold calls in my job as a teacher all the time and an advisor to students that are like struggling in classes. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Are you doing okay? You know, is there stuff we can do to help? And so often, and I didn't really think about it this way until reading this volume, a lot of times they kind of just unload a lot of their trauma and troubles. And I'm like, oh, I'm not a licensed therapist, but okay. But then I think about it later on after reading this chapter. I'm like, yeah, they need somebody to talk to in the moment and just kind of like unload all of this. And they can't necessarily talk to somebody close to them because they don't want to bother them or be a burden or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, okay, now that makes sense. So this chapter kind of enlightened me on that. And I thought that was really nice of the manga to do so. Also, I like this shot of Tanema and Natsume. If you ship Tanema and Natsume, the kimono over both of their shoulders and it kind of blending into each of their collars of their shirts. Top notch. Love it. Love it. Love these little covers the mangaka does. So yeah, then we have the episode, that's episode 12 of season 3, where Natsume is chased by the one yokai that's trying to get at them and is trying to find their way home and is trying to establish that they like staying with the Fujiwaras. And we get the same sort of flashbacks that we do from the other parts of the episode. Part 4 of the editor's notes here from the mangaka says, Tanema's bed. His dad bought him a Western-style bed instead of the traditional Japanese bedding on the floor because it would be too tedious to put it away and set it out all the time. Oh, when he gets sick so often, I figured Natsume would be a little envious of the bed somehow, but he didn't bring it up because then Tanema would lecture him to just ask the Fujiwaras for one. It only appeared in one panel, but a few people actually wrote me about it. It made me happy that they found familiarity with the beds in Japanese rooms, so thank you for writing. Yeah, I kind of wondered about that too, being like, oh, that's interesting, in a shrine you have a Western-style bed, but if he's sick or if Tanema gets headaches a lot, which can relate, when I was in high school, I got headaches all the time. And they were awful. Now that I'm older, I told the moderators once that I get headaches a lot more frequently than I feel I did when I was younger, but they're less severe. So it's kind of like a trade-off. Like I get little headaches that are annoying sometimes, more often, depending on the time of the month and everything, because I'm a woman, but I get them less severely, which is good, because when I was in high school and early college, if I got like a migraine or headache, I was like out for a day. And I couldn't do anything for like 12 hours except sit with like no lights, no sound, nothing. And being a reactor and with my channel, that would be very hard to manage, honestly. So I am fortunate now that they are less frequent. I can take some Excedrin or something and they'd be fine, versus how debilitating they were when I was younger. So it gets better. But yeah, so that's interesting. And it says the Natsume anime wraps up. I was truly blessed with a great director, script writer, character designer, music, background studio, OP, and ED animation, all the actors and everyone else involved. The anime Natsume came to an end. I'm assuming they're talking about that whatever season it is for that. So we'll see. Maybe they're talking about season 1. Who knows? But yeah, so then the rest of the episode is dealing with Natsume and going to the Fujiwara's house and deciding that he wants to go there. And the most heartbreaking part is that just like in the anime, Natsume goes around wondering if Toko is a yokai or if she's human, because she seems too nice to be human. And I'm like, showing his experiences with humans up to this point, just absolutely baffling. And of course, for her, she talks about in the manga being like, you know, my husband and I don't have any kids. It's never explicitly said why. Maybe they didn't want kids. Maybe they had infertility issues and they couldn't have kids. But she's like, you know, we have this nice house and we wanted to make sure it goes to somebody after we pass. And I'm like, that's morbid and crazy. And so, but also I feel like it's kind of her skirting around the edges of they want to give Natsume a home, but they don't want to, you know, come out right out and say it. So they're like, oh, this is the reason. But Natsume in the manga says, you know, is she human? Maybe I'm the only one that can see her. After all, she said she wants me to come live with her. That's so heartbreaking that Natsume is like sitting there going, well, who would want me to stay at their house? She can't be human. Just what? Insane. Insane. I will say it gets better, but this cover for chapter 31, I was like, man, Shigure doesn't look nearly as much of a dilf as he does in the anime. They got him hot in that anime, but don't worry. That's just the cover. It feels like the first time the mangaka's drawing him in full profile. Later on in the chapter, he looks a lot better. So I was like, oh, good. So the last thing that we have from the author says, the opening and ending songs made me emotional every time. I looked forward to the beautiful episode title backgrounds and the kitty antics after the commercial break in every episode. I sincerely enjoyed all of it. I was so amazed at the wonders of animation in all the little details. How the characters turned or blinked, or how you could tell that all four limbs were moving even though you could only see one. The scripts were organized for better communication, but were careful to retain the original mood. The various actors had such breadth in their craft to leave room for interpretation. The music kept playing in my mind long after watching. The background art made me feel so much nostalgia. I am so happy that I was able to participate in the creation of the Natsume anime. I went to the wrap party and saw how everyone was so passionate about creating animation, it almost made me cry. Director Omori shook my hand at the very end. It's a memory I'll never forget. Thank you so much to everyone involved. I'll keep working hard on the manga. End of the columns for the editor. What's so funny is I'm assuming they're talking about the first season of the anime, and maybe they thought this was like so many anime that just have, you know, so many episodes, and they're like, okay, we're done. But it's like, no, you're gonna have more seasons, and I'm so excited to hear what they say about them. But yeah, Shigure does look better as you go throughout the chapter, which is great. And then, oh my god, like Natsume just wanting to stay with them and crying. It's so sweet. I also love this panel here of Madara after the mask is cracked on that one yokai. We do get confirmation Madara didn't kill the yokai. He just sent them away. Okay. Which seems, you know, Madara softening a little bit with Natsume's presence. Perhaps. I love it. It's great. But then we have, there was a little side story in volume 8, which was super cute. It involved Chobi, which is the big-headed yokai that showed up when Taki was first introduced. And it's mainly just Chobi's adventures, and they kind of like talk about Natsume and Madara. It's really cute. It's just a little side story. I think my favorite part about it is that when Chobi and this one yokai are describing Madara, they literally draw him as a little pig, which is so funny and cute. Instead of a cat, they had a little pig snout and everything. Adorable. Adorable. So then, yeah. And I like Chobi seemingly to learn from Natsume by the end of the chapter. Chobi views themselves, hilariously enough, we've been making fun of Chobi for like his big head and nose, but Chobi views himself as a very noble a very noble yokai that views the camellias and everything. He kind of reminds me a little bit of one of the characters from Bungo Stray Dogs that's connected to the camellia flower, and I thought that was really fun. But at the end, he's like, he's talking about humans. He's like, it's so hard to deal with humans. They cry or laugh or get mad over the smallest of things. It makes me uncomfortable. For all my proud nobility, I sense myself faltering as I find myself caught up in the moment. So I love the idea that the yokai kind of view humans because they're so emotional and tied to their humanity that it makes the yokai feel uncomfortable because they don't know how to deal with it. But as they're interacting with Natsume, they're learning to adapt and figure out like how good it is to be around them. And I love that little twist. I love that little angle that the series takes with it. It's great. So the afterword. Thank you for reading. How did you like it? Natsume's Book of Friends has now passed the 30 episode mark. Oh, okay. So at this point, we're into season 3. Okay. I'm so happy that I've been able to continue drawing these precious characters for so long. Thank you so much for your support. In the 7th volume, Natsume became painfully aware of the harsh nature of humans and yokai alike. Ooh! I think he's finally decided to pay closer attention to those around him, but I felt that it was still difficult for him to do this without fear. I hope I can thaw him out a little bit at a time. Please read the afterword at the end of the volume to avoid spoilers. Nice! So I like that we're getting to the idea of Natsume slowly realizing that humans and yokai are dangerous. How are we going to handle that? And I like the idea of this series thawing him out slowly. Like that's really, really cool. Chapter 27. I thought I shouldn't write episodes that don't revolve around yokai, but I was given the go-ahead to do a campus story. I was still nervous, but it was so fun to finally include incidents I've wanted to insert for a long time, even if it had to be a side story. I wanted to spend more time on the culture festival, but I was worried it would get too human-centric, and I kept running into problems I don't usually encounter. It was a new experience in my mind. Kitamoto has a cuter younger sister, and Nishimura has an older brother that he doesn't get along with. I remember the day I decided on their faces, imagining a former baseball player and a former soccer player. I hope to one day work on an episode describing how the 3 of them first met. That would be so cool! Yes, please! I want to see that episode where they first met, so that'll be exciting. Also, the fact that Kishimoto has a younger sister makes sense, and Nishimura having an older brother makes sense, like the older-younger sibling dynamic. That adds a layer of understanding to this whole thing. So yeah, I would love to see that episode eventually. That'd be amazing. Let's hope for that in future seasons. Chapters 28 and 29, Reflections. I kept missing opportunities to do an episode on Tanama because I was afraid I couldn't give him the time and attention he deserves. Then I was assigned a 2-part episode, so I knew this was my chance. I feel that Natsume is embarrassed because he wants to get closer, but he's just not used to that kind of thing. This time he found out how it feels to be the one being avoided. These colleagues all know about the existence of yokai, but when he's with Mr. Notori, Natsume wants to take a step forward. With Tanama and Taki, the difference is a desire to take a step back. I hope I can depict such subtlety. I also realized how fun it is to draw the interactions between students. Yeah, that's such a good note, actually, about all of that. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting to describe Natsume's experience with Notori and how he tries to understand Notori a little bit more, which is interesting. But then with Taki and Tanama, he's trying to get to understand them a little bit. I guess what's interesting is he's trying to get closer to Notori because he doesn't understand him as much. But then at the same time, he doesn't want Taki and Tanama to distance from him, so he gets a little further away. The contrast, it's wild, right? It's wild. Then with chapter 30 and 31, A Place to Belong. This is also a story I've wanted to work on for a long time, so I had fun. It was a strange feeling, like sketching a path from memory, which I've walked with Natsume so many times. Without Nyanko-sensei in the story, I felt anxious, even as the writer. Natsume feels that the Fujiwaras provided the light when he was lonely, but the same time for the Fujiwaras. But the same was true for the Fujiwaras. The anime producers made a wonderful episode of Natsume before he came to live with the Fujiwaras for the drama CD that came with the anime. DVD Volume 1 of Natsume's Book of Friends. I added a tiny bit of awkwardness to Aunt Toko. Like she got a little too excited and she had to be calmed down by Shigeru when she got home. That was a lot of fun. Ah, dang it, I want to see these audio drama moments. And in the special episode, I was given 8 pages, so I debated what to write about and settled for Chobi, with whom I could be the most natural. For some reason, I grow calmer when I'm drawing Chobi. Natsume is usually pretty incompetent, but you can't see inside his head from a third-person perspective, so I could draw him being a little cooler. Aw, I love that. I like all the insights they're giving for this volume, especially for what seems to be what's going to be on in season 3. So that's so interesting. How did you like Natsume's Book of Friends, Volume 8? Natsume has directed outward his desire to do something, but he's finally trying to pay attention to the people close to him. It has become more fun to hang around yokai, but he also realizes human relationships are very important. I think he's going to start seriously contemplating his future course of action. I'd like to draw all the difficult things and the fun things with utmost care. Ooh. Thank you so much for checking out the book. I'm passionate about drawing interesting things that you like to read, so thank you again. I feel like the mangaka is finally like hitting their stride. They're like, okay, we've got 3 seasons of anime. We have 8 volumes of the manga. This is becoming a story. It's not just vignettes, I feel. Now it's like Natsume has discovered that he likes being around the yokai, but he also likes human relationships and now has to decide what to do, which is kind of what episodes 1 and 2 talked about last week, where like, what's he going to do? So I feel like it's going to be so interesting to see what Natsume does in the future. And he's decided he wants to protect the Book of Friends because he knows that's important and kind of like the linchpin of all of this. So what is that going to be like? I'm so excited. So yes, sorry I went on for like 30 minutes talking about the manga volume, but you all seem to like it. So hopefully that's okay. But I'm really excited to start episode 3 of season 4, or episode 42, which is so crazy. But we are here, so we might as well get started. So I hope you all enjoy this episode, but let's dive into episode 3 of season 4 of Natsume's Book of Friends. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. That twang at the beginning of this episode, it is so country. I'm never prepared for it. And having a little kid Natsume. And that looks like the road that like Notori and him stood on earlier. And all of the yokai around the people. Oh, wow. And Natsume looking back. Wow. Aww. I like that instead of running away from the yokai, he's now walking alongside them. Aww. I didn't realize that was little kid Natsume with Madara. Shut up. Shut up. All right, fine. Oh. Oh. Amana. Looks similar to the yokai from the last episode. Roko. Ugh. Deal with it! I'd freeze my little paws off. Oh my god. Oh. Oh, not a cat! Natsume will be protector of cats forever. Oh no, it's Karasuno versus Nekoma! What do we do? A dumpster battle indeed! Oh. Is it a kitten or is it a yokai? Oh, it's a little yokai, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Oh, hearing Camille yell like that is really kind of cute. The little ones. Are these gremlins? Well, I thought it was a cat too. You say that. Yeah. Oh, it's attached to him. Shh. Oh. Oh my god! Yes! Yes! Look how adorable it is! Ah! It is really cute. It's really cute. In tradition of Natsume having adorable yokai. Oh my god! Oh, damn it! Oh, no, 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 no! Oh my god! It's a crime scene! Oh. Oh. At least maybe they can't see the yokai blood in real life, so. Oh my god. Madara, they can't throw him. You're not gonna listen to me, are you? Me. Oh. After I clean the blood off my walls. The Band-Aid! Stop! No, it's too cute! Stop it! Oh. Oh. Oh, damn. And Natsume got hurt and still took care of him. True. That is too precious. Stop, show. Stop making them so cute. Oh, little heater. Oh. The poison? What? Oh. Madara, you say this. Oh. That sucks. I don't like Natsume being poisoned. Look at him drinking it. Look at Madara drinking out of the little bowl. And it's from the fox spirit. Oh, no. She's like, be careful, kid. Oh. Running to school with the toast in his mouth like an anime trope. Oh. Ah. To repay that kindness and be useful. Mm-hmm. You know that yokai is going to follow him like all over the place now. Oh. Yep. Yep. Oh no. Oh no. Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. They are like the gremlins. Oh no. What a holiday themed episode. Oh my god. Why are you here, Madara? No! Oh my god. Ah! Oh no, what if there's a whole herd of them? What if there's a whole cluster of them? Oh my god, there are. Faludore. It's like Whoville. Oh shit. Snacks! Madara's like, I'm just gonna eat. Yeah. Oh no. Oh. And he's worried about the Book of Friends. Oh my god, what? Weren't you the one that was just let go? Oh shit, weren't you the one that was... Oh! I thought he just let you go because of your name. What? Oh my god, why? Oh my god. Good for you sticking up for yourself. Okay, Ursula. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh no. Can he just turn into... I guess he can't turn into his other form. Oh. Shut up. Shut up. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh my god, what do we do? Why is there a pickle and eggplant? Is this Scum Villain? Oh. Oh, they're laughing about it. I thought they were like scared of these yokai, but they were laughing about it. Well, that's nice of you to offer that, but... Yes, that's great that I have a place to go stay with y'all, but... Akaru? Of course Hinoe knows. They're annoying as F. Oh, uh-oh. Well, they need to not migrate yet. They need to stick around just a wee bit longer. Oh no! If they eat the ring, it may take 3 days for it to come back up. I love Hinoe. Well, just complicated. Oh my god. Oh, so we can't do the flashlight. Ah! But I gotta get that ring, or my house is gonna burn down. Okay. Oh! I love the idea of Natsume asking for help. Yes. With the glasses! Oh, I love these little hanging yokai. That's cute. Ah. You don't need to be here if Madara can't help you. Oh. She didn't notice the band-aid, so maybe it's just something that only Natsume can see. Burning down the house. Oh. Natsume looks a little bit stronger compared to the other seasons. Like he's grown a little muscle. Madara seems not too concerned. Oh. Ah! Shut up. I'm not fat, I'm big boned. Nice. Oh. Oh shit. Oh. Oh. So. Oh. It gave him the antidote for his hand. Oh. Eat them damn berries, get your hand better. Oh. Harry. No. I like that Fluff Ball is the choice instead of Harry, and that's too obvious for Madara. Aw, I hope you ate those berries and your hand got better. Oh my god. There he is. With the Band-Aid! Please let me get this ring. I like Madara just sitting there. Aww. Oh my god, adorable. Why? Why? Damn it! Damn it! But why? Oh. No! Mother Trucker! Mother Trucker! What did you come to talk about anyway? Oh. Yeah, what did you two want? Oh no. Oh no. Oh my god. Why are things escalating in this season and getting out of hand? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. 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 Oh, thank God he gave him the ring before they all migrated away. Oh. Little fluff ball. Yeah. No, yeah. Oh. Oh my god, why? Why is there this misunderstanding? No! No! Shit, why? Why? Oh! 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 Oh my god, they turn into a long Furby. They turn into a giant long Furby. I was gonna make the comparison. I'm like, no, maybe not, but yes. It also looks like Falcor from Neverending Story as well. Oh. Yeah. Love it. How do you know? With the Band-Aid? Oh, or that. Shut up. Oh. First thing me. Yes. Nice. Shut up. Shut up. Not gonna get me this time, show. Not gonna get me this time. Oh! Oh! This season's so good so far. I love this season. Oh my god, yes. Even though the ED is sung by a different person, there is such a calmness to it and such a cadence that's so warming that I love it. It's so sweet. I'm like, hell yes. It's like every ED, even if they're a different song or a different singer, has this like calming effect, which is so beautiful. It's so peaceful. Also, the ED, since it's wintertime, as I'm recording this, since it's the wintertime, it feels so appropriate. I'm like, yeah. Aw. Oh. Hell yeah. Okay. Oh my god, this was adorable. I am loving season 4 so far. I know we're only 3 episodes in, but that's still like almost a fourth of the way through the season. Just saying. And I'm really liking season 4 quite a lot. Like episodes 1 and 2 were intense. This one had some tension in it too. And I was like, okay, mangaka, we are stepping up our game with Natsume. All right, all right. But yeah, I really liked this episode a lot. I'm a sucker for cute little yokai. And this continues the tradition of too cute for words. Am obsessed with yokai to the extreme, like these little gremlin balls of fur. They reminded me at first a little bit of Furbies, but cuter than Furbies because Furbies are cursed and should burn in a fire. But I thought that was like, those kind of look like gremlins and Furbies, but they're like cuter than that. And then I know that there is the accursed long Furby that is like an abomination to mankind. And I was like, I wonder if they, if there was like a bigger version of them. Because, you see like little ones and you're like, well, is there like a leader or something? And so them becoming the dragon, the Karu becoming the dragon at the end was so perfect. It looked like a little long Furby, but adorable. And I was like, yes, love it. The one thing is Amana looks a lot, I'm not going to call it a complaint because yokai are kind of like humans. Some of them look similar. The only thing I thought was kind of weird was right after we got Roko, we got Amana that looks almost identical to Roko, only just barely different. But a lot of the yokai, it's a very flimsy critique because a lot of the yokai in this series do kind of look similar. And so it's easy to be like, didn't we just see a yokai that looked exactly like that? Plus, this could be out of order in the manga. So there could be like a whole big story in between this story and that story. Or this could be anime only. Who knows? But we'll find out when we find out. But still, I thought it was interesting that they looked similar, but it's my only critique of the entire episode, so I just wanted to get it out of the way. It's barely worth noting. Because the rest of this episode is so good. And man, I also think it's important to note that this yokai that was so fickle and kind of like a bastard about Natsume supposedly stealing the ring when they didn't steal the ring, I was like, are you serious? But the reality is, yeah, they kind of, the reality of the situation is that humans are like that too. Like when you finally think you've solved the crisis and you've communicated, like, here's what we found out, people can still be bastards. And they're like, well, actually, I don't believe you. And you're like, what? Humans do that all the time. So the fact that yokai do it too seems to fit the brief. I love that Madara gets onto the yokai though, being like, hey, we went to all this trouble and Natsume kept his promise. So screw you. Like that part was really fun. I love that. But also this episode felt so thematic. It's like it's finally winter here and everything, like the cold is settling in, and the fact of them running around with scarves on and Madara like getting their winter fat and everything, like it felt so perfect for this time of year recording. Like this episode felt so thematically perfect that I was like, all right, cool. But honestly though, Madara, Natsume is gonna have to get you some little booties to put on your little feet because your fat butt on his head, that would hurt. So no, we're gonna have to get Madara some little booties that he can wear and walk around on a leash, right? I liked the idea though of the Karu like as a yokai. I love the idea that they're these little balls of fluff. I also like the idea that when they are Although Natsume holding it up and trying to put it back in the tree is so cute. But I like the idea that these little yokai, even though they seem so weak, whenever they're in trouble, they exert this poison, right? And that as a group, they can be this giant dragon. I like the idea, again, in a way kind of hits it on the head about, the weak have to find a way to adapt and survive. And they do so. That's why they're still around, which we'll talk about that whole conversation at the end of the episode when we get to it. But Madara saying some of the yokai are weird. I'm like, pot calling the kettle black, right? But I thought this episode was super cute. I'm glad that a lot with the yokai is, only able to be seen by Madara and Natsume, because if Toko or Shigure walked in and saw blood everywhere, which I'm assuming Natsume cleaned it up so he didn't have to see it, but it still would have been a lot, right, to go through and see all that. But yeah, this episode was super cute. The little Karu, they are freaking adorable. I cannot get around how cute they are. But also the idea of Natsume putting the tiny little band-aid on it. Shut up. With the, what do they say? It's like, it's Haronine. It's like the little salve to put on there, like the big, like the liquid band-aid and everything. Just shut up how cute it is. I just cannot get over how adorable it is. It just, it eats me alive. I'm like, there are no words to describe the cute factor of the little yokai with, and also the fact that it seemed like their hair was poisonous because Natsume had the tweezers and was plucking hairs out of his hand, and that's what had the poison in it. That seems to be the case. So we'll see. But just Natsume's kindness, because Natsume got hurt by the yokai and just played it off like it wasn't a big deal. Like, it was just like, oh no, it's fine. I'm just glad you're okay. Like, freaking saint. A literal saint Natsume is. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't get over just how kind he is. And is able, like, and a lot of that is attributed to his trauma. Like, he's grown up with these traumatic things happen to him, that it's kind of instilled this gratefulness to him that he has a life that's a lot better off than what it once was. And I've talked about it in previous seasons, but I really like that, because oftentimes in anime that I've watched and in series that I've watched, the go-to move by an author when they have a character that's gone through trauma is to either make them a villain or to make them do all these horrible things and blame it on their trauma and be like, oh, I grew up traumatized, so that's why I'm okay to do these awful things. And that's not a viable excuse, right? And so what I love so much about Natsume is that he's gone through these horrible things, but he's not let it make him a bitter, terrible person. Like we just experienced last week, Matoba, who seems to project a lot of his own trauma growing up onto why he's doing these things and why he feels justified. But then he comes across Natsume, whose philosophy is totally different, and he's kind of intrigued by it. Like, why aren't you vengeful? Why aren't you like this? Why aren't you like me? And Natsume has just a different response to it. And so it's really endearing and it's refreshing, and it's why I like his character so much in this series. It's not what we usually get, right? But there is such a coziness to this episode. The idea of Madara and Natsume under the futon with the heater next to them. The idea of the little yokai like going to get him the antidote for his hand, being adorable. I like that Toko... I like Natsume had the toast in his mouth as he's buttoning up his jacket. I was ready for him to sprint out the door with the toast in his mouth and then to run into Tanama. But what I like about this is that Toko, she shows concern for Natsume. Like, she shows concern for him and his hand. But instead of prying, instead of pushing, she's supportive of him and just redoes the Band-Aid and is like, okay, be careful. Kind of like giving a... you know, if there's a problem, you can talk to us vibe without pushing it. Because Natsume, she trusts Natsume enough that if something was really, really wrong, he would, express that to her. But the fact that he's not means that things are okay. I feel like that's going to come into play as we go throughout the series, that Natsume is slowly going to have to realize that Toko and Shigure, they're kind of on to stuff being weird around Natsume, but they trust him and they love him, so it's okay. And I feel like Natsume doesn't realize how much they notice, and that's going to come into play later on. We'll see. But yeah, the moment poor Natsume though, the fact that he sees like the extra one, and then he's like goes, oh, there's another one, and the instructor, who is doing math on the board, by the way, I see sine and cosine, and the algebra like person, like I was instantly transported back to junior year in high school, seeing like the sine and cosine and going, oh no. Although my high school, I did algebra 1 freshman year, algebra 2 sophomore year, geometry junior year, and then pre-calc senior year. So you could at my school double up and do algebra and geometry the same year and then get to calculus by senior year. But I'm not good with math and I didn't want to take my GPA. So I was like, no, I'll just do one math class at a time. So, but I remember sine and cosine. I remember them. I probably couldn't tell you how to do them, but I do remember doing them. So I don't blame Natsume for spacing out during a math class, says the English major. But yeah, poor Natsume. At least the one thing is, like, the class kind of giggles at him, but then they let it go. And that's another thing, too. Like, I'm watching another series, March Comes In Like a Lion, which you should watch as well. It's amazing. I'm almost caught up with it. It's so good. But there's a lot more drama within the school and the classmates. But that series, as the mangaka talked about in volume 8 with this manga, with March, there's not the supernatural element and the yokai like there are here. So the mangaka here in Natsume does a little bit more of a balancing act of how much of the class do we show, how much of the yokai do we show, and it's a little bit of a different objective than March Comes In Like a Lion. But yeah, I also like that Natsume kind of realizes Madara in this moment, whether Natsume realizes it or not. Madara is always at the school making sure Natsume is okay. And Natsume may not have realized that Madara has been watching him this whole time. And I wish they would have focused a little bit more on it, but I'm sure that that's going to come up in later episodes, that Natsume is like, oh, why are you here? Why are you not drinking with the other yokai? Why are you watching me at school? And I'm sure Madara will be like, well, I'm your bodyguard and I got to watch over you and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's interesting that Natsume has caught on now to the fact that he's there. So yeah, but then there's all these little hairballs. And then they get to the tree and they're all just gathered there. I love the idea that they migrate. I love the idea that they all gather together and they migrate. So it explains why they've been coming and going and not being seen as often. Even the other yokai think that they're just like even the other yokai think they're just a rumor. They don't even know if they're really truly there or not. But yeah, the petty yokai that wants their ring back. I'm like, bitch, you got your tacky wish ring back. You should be grateful. I do think it's also interesting that Madara gets this bandage on their head and they're not able to banish the yokai because their seal on top of their forehead is covered. And Hinoue is even like, really? You let that happen, Madara? Like, how far you've fallen? And Madara's like, shut up! You don't know me! It's just really, it's good in this episode to see because Madara is kind of, what is so important in this episode is Madara has always been not a crutch for Natsume, but he's his bodyguard. So he's always been the one yokai that Natsume can rely upon. But now that Madara, this is kind of the second time Madara's been out of commission. The first time was when Matoba got him with the arrow, and the second time is now. So Natsume can't rely upon Madara all the time anymore. Also, it looks like Natsume got a wardrobe, because that seems new. So good for Natsume getting a wardrobe. But I like that this is the one chance in which Natsume is like, we could find the little hairball, and he enlists the help of the other yokai to help him. What's nice about this is he does not rely upon the Book of Friends. He doesn't use the Book of Friends. He could get Mitsuru if he wanted. He could technically order Hinoue around, I suppose, and the other two, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't rely on the Book of Friends. He just asks them as friends, the yokai. He's like, hey, can you help me do this? Like, I don't want to get you involved, but Madara can't help, so I'm kind of worried. I need this ring back to protect my family. Can you help? That is such a huge milestone for Natsume to be able to ask for help like that, because it's not something that season 1 Natsume would have done at all. He would have been like, oh, I'll figure it out on my own. But now that Natsume is kind of, after season 3, come to this conclusion that he wants to be alongside both the yokai and the humans, I feel like it's a good sign of growth for Natsume that he's willing to ask them for help. And I feel like for the yokai, seeing that Natsume isn't ordering them around like an exorcist would, seeing that he's actually just asking for help normally like a friend would, without using the Book of Friends, I think that's really powerful. And I think the yokai realize that. And especially Hinaway does. And that's why she's like, okay, yes, we'll help you because you're just asking us politely, not trying to take advantage of us or use us. So awesome. But yeah, they kind of point out that the Karu like eat everything, which I was afraid for a second that they ate the ring, which luckily that wasn't the case. I love Hinaway laughing at Madara though. She's just like, wah, wah, wah. I kind of ship Hinaway and Madara because Hinaway can give him so much shit and he just like, he takes it, which is really funny. But she does care about Madara. She's like, you know, you should stay away from these yokai with Madara like that because he's not going to be able to help you. And Natsume's like, I got to get this ring back or my family's in trouble. So also the idea that Hinaway, when she's like, oh, you're being so honest and kind of forceful, it's creepy and I like it. Because it reminds her of Reiko probably, in a way. Also, it kind of is doing what the friends last season were telling Natsume. They're like, you need to be more frank and upfront and say what you want. And like we saw in that episode and in volume 8 of the manga, now we kind of see in this episode Natsume actually starting to do that. Like he's being more upfront. He's being more direct and honest and saying what he needs. And I'm like, the growth of our character. It's so good. But yeah, so they go looking. I love the two yokai with the sunglasses on looking like they're covert. Hilarious. So goofy, but so fun. And then they can't find anything. But also, I think it's important that Hinaway and the other two yokai are like, hey, it's about to be nighttime here. You need to go back because this forest gets kind of creepy at night and there could be some yokai around and Madara's not going to be able to protect you and we might not be able to protect you either. So you need to leave. Like just that consideration and care that the yokai are showing Natsume is leaps and bounds what would have happened in season 1 or season 2. So I love when a series grows and develops, but it's so subtle that you kind of just, as you watch, notice it. Now, Toko notices that Natsume's dirty from looking, but she doesn't notice the bandage on Madara, which I attribute to the fact that only maybe yokai can see the bandage over Madara's face. But I want to make note, when Natsume goes to like get his hair out of his face, it could just be the animation, but Natsume looks like he's built some muscle in his upper torso a little bit over the last season or so. I'm like, maybe Natsume is getting stronger and getting older, and it's just very subtly showing. I also like that Madara's sitting there like nibbling on, he's got his little sake in a cup and he's nibbling on his little snacks in front of the heater. Can relate, do want, love it. And then he's like, well, I'm not weak like you. And Natsume's like, well, maybe I should get a little bit fatter like you and we'll be good. But yeah, so then we have the berries, which are super cute. Glad that Natsume ate them and healed up. But I love the idea of this notion of kindness begetting kindness. That Natsume was kind to the yokai. He helped heal him. And so the yokai in return goes and gets him the berries and brings it back and gives him. And even later on, the other yokai, without knowing it, go and look for the berries too to give to Natsume to help him. Like, that's so sweet. And I love a series where it's like kindness begets kindness. And it's just like, it makes you feel so warm and fuzzy. And I love it. Also, the tiny little image of Madara holding up the little berry in this frame. Adorable. Love it. Love all of it. So yeah, of course, we can't completely have nice things. We have the tiny little yokai with the band-aid about to go to Natsume. Then the other two show up. It's a big deal. They go run off and they're like, well, we have to hurry because all the other yokai have found out that the Karu are here. They're worried about the Karu. So they've all formed this mob. It's like, what? It's like all these bad things have to happen at once. It's like, really? But why? And then luckily, before anything bad goes down, Natsume is able, while Hinaway is holding off the mob, Natsume finds the yokai and tells them all to leave. But he's like, hey, before you go, if you could give me that ring back, that'd be great. And they do. So I love that they glow like little fireflies and all leave and they give him the ring back. It's so cute. And I love that they're like, man, they're such weird little yokai, but when they leave, they sure are adorable and really beautiful. And I'm like, and so it seems like this nice little happy ending. And I was like, okay, this is all ending well. And then of course the nasty yokai shows up. Natsume gives her their gumball machine ring back. and they still aren't satisfied. But that's when I love that the little Karu, they form this dragon that like looks like a goat. It looks like Falcor from Neverending Story. It looks like a long Furby. It looks like a goat. Love it. And then they take Natsume away, and Madara banishes the yokai that wanted the ring, being like, why aren't you satisfied? But yeah, it's so sweet. The Natsume is like, they finally got... And I love the idea Natsume is so observant that as the yokai let him down, all the little Karu like expand and brush away in the moment. Natsume sees the one Karu because they have red from the berries on them, which is so cute. And then this series was trying to make me cry. It was trying to do it because I was just getting settled in. Everything was fine. And then Natsume still has the cut on his face from the one. And then the two friends that are yokai show up with all of the berries to heal his wounds. And it's so freaking adorable. And so then as we have that happen, Hinaway is like, you know, they're talking about the Karu, and they're like, even the little Karu could face a yokai like that. And they're like, well, once they were together, they could do it. And Hinaway says, well, that's just how the weak ones survive, by banding together. And then we cut to Natsume saying, I don't have much power, and I'm trying to get stronger. So Natsume's like, I guess, in that moment, he's like, if I'm not afraid of sharing, I'm not afraid of, he says, what does he say there? He's like, I'm not afraid of sharing my heart. If I can do that. And then it shows the others with him. And they're like, it's supposedly an antidote for yokai poison. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I like this message at the end. It's something we've been kind of talking about with the other volumes and with season 3. And starting out this volume, Natsume is kind of like, I love the conversation he has with Hinaway, because Natsume is like, when I try to do things by myself, I'm just one human. Even if I have this ability to hit yokai and affect them, I'm still just one person. And so I'm not necessarily going to be the most effective person to do this. But as we see from this episode, the idea of when you work together, you get the problem solved. So he worked together with the yokai to find the little Karu fuzzball or fluffball, and get fluffball, get the ring back for the other yokai. So I like this concept that Natsume is learning by example, and from not only the yokai they're working with, but also what he sees with the Karu. He learns that, you know, by yourself, you might be weak, but working together with others, you can be stronger. And it's done so in a much more wholesome way, because you think about Notori with his servant yokai, and you see like Matoba is the extreme example of him using all the yokai, that they're kind of like negative examples of working with others because it's not mutual and it's not consenting. But here, when Natsume is working together with friends, it's beautiful, and it just is so wholesome, and it just embodies the idea that Natsume, he's not alone. He has friends and people that are helping him, and it's not like it was, you know, pre-season 1. So I love it. I love it so much. I love season 4 so far. Season 4 so far has been great. We're only 3 episodes in, but there's only 13 episodes to the season, and we got several 2-parters this season, so it's going to go by fast, and I don't like that. But I'm so excited to see what next week leads us to. I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below about volume 8 of the manga, as well as about this episode. I'm sure y'all are going to have lots to talk about with Natsume working with others as well. So I'm excited to hear it. But in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back real soon with more of Natsume's Book of Friends. Bye!